Today, we're diving into the survival tactics of some of Kenya's most important businesses. We're talking about the small shops, the workshops, the places that are really the backbone of the entire economy. It's a story of struggle, yeah, but also one of smart strategy and a pretty surprising path to success.
But we have to start with a big question, kind of a paradox, really. If these businesses are so crucial, why are so many of them just disappearing? It's a huge deal. And the answer, well, it's probably not what you're thinking.
And let's be clear, the stakes here are incredibly high. These aren't just hobbies or side hustles. We're talking about micro-enterprises, or MEs, and they are the absolute engine of Kenya's economy. They contribute a massive chunk to the country's GDP and employ a huge number of people. Simply put, when they succeed, Kenya succeeds.
So, what's the big problem they're all facing? Well, it's a daily battle for survival, something we can call the competition gauntlet.
The research on this is really straightforward. Even though they're so important, these businesses have a shockingly high mortality rate. And the number one cause, get this, it isn't a lack of money or bad products. It's just fierce, head-to-head competition.
And you know what's wild? For years, all sorts of groups, donors, the government, you name it, have been trying to help out. But as the researchers here point out, the actual effect of all that help has been, well, pretty much zero. Negligible. That tells you that the usual solutions just aren't cutting it. Something else is needed.
And that's something else. It's all about having a game plan. So let's break down a classic set of 3 business strategies that might just hold the key.
Okay, first up, you've got cost leadership. The idea here is really simple. Be the cheapest. That's it. You pull this off by being insanely efficient, thinking about mass production, which, is pretty tough for a tiny business to do. The goal is to win on price, period.
All right, strategy number 2 is differentiation. Now, this is the total opposite of competing on price. Here, your goal is to be unique. You're offering amazing quality or incredible service or a product that's just plain different from everyone else's. The goal here is to win on value, not price.
And third, we have the focus strategy. This one's different. It's not about being the cheapest for everyone or the most unique for everyone. It's about being the absolute best choice for a very specific, narrow group of customers. You become the go-to person for that one little niche.
So let's just lay it all out. Cost leadership and differentiation, they're both going after a big, broad market. One uses price, the other uses value. But focus? Focus completely changes the game by narrowing in on a small, niche market. The big question, of course, is which one of these actually works for a small business in Kenya?
Okay, so to get a real-world answer, researchers went to Kiambu County, Kenya, and they zeroed in on a very specific type of business, industrial knitters. This case study is where the theory gets put to the test.
And this wasn't just a quick survey. They really dug in, studying 90 of these knitting businesses, some formal, some informal, to figure out how they operate and, most importantly, what strategies the ones that were actually succeeding were using to stay afloat.
So, this is it. This is the moment of truth. When you're facing all that brutal competition, which one of these 3 game plans actually gives you the winning edge? Is it being cheap, being unique, or being a specialist?
And here is our answer. Wow. It is not even close. Just look at that huge slice of the pie. The overwhelming majority of the businesses that were making it, the survivors, were all using the focus strategy. It just blows the other 2 out of the water.
So let's be super clear about what this means. When you can't compete with huge companies on price and when it's just too hard and expensive to be totally unique for everybody, what's left? Picking your lane. The road to success wasn't about being everything to everyone. It was about being the absolute best for a very specific somebody.
Now, this is way more than just an interesting fact. It's a blueprint. We can now take this research and turn it into real, practical advice for the business owners themselves and for the people making the policies. Okay, so for the business owners on the ground, the researchers suggest a really clear 2-step plan. First, when business is booming, go all out. Maximize those sales. But, and this is the critical part, during the slow seasons, don't just sit around. That's your time to really lean into your focus strategy to win over and lock in your special group of customers. And what about the government and other support organizations? Well, the message for them is just as clear. Stop with the generic one-size-fits-all training. Instead, teach these businesses specifically about competitive strategy. And just as important, create rules and laws that give these small, focused businesses a real fighting chance to compete.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought.
We've just seen how one smart choice, adopting the focus strategy, can be the difference between a business shutting down and a business thriving. So it makes you wonder, right? If one business can change its fate like that, what could an entire nation of smart, focused strategists build? The potential there is just immense.